battling the epidemic of loneliness in Las Vegas. Tonight, News 3 takes on connection and healing.
This is my way to stay grounded and connected because I don't have relatives here in Vegas. So this is my family.
I think through creative outlets, you're able to express yourself if you're doing dance or if you're singing or if you're painting through expression.
What we're really doing is creating healthy habits, and that is sustainability.
This is Las Vegas Together, reported by News 3's Marie Mortera and photojournalist Norberto Arroyo. Thanks for joining us on this Mental Health Matters special, Las Vegas Together. You've seen the headlines, the epidemic of loneliness and isolation. The Surgeon General bringing attention to what is being called an urgent public health issue, that experiencing those feelings of not belonging are more widespread than any other issue, including smoking, diabetes, and obesity. That report states loneliness and social isolation increases the risk for premature death by 26% and 29% respectively. A 2022 study found that when people were asked how close they felt to others emotionally, only 39% of adults in the U.S. said that they felt very connected to others. But there is another side to the story, the people doing the healing work of connection. Tonight, you'll meet them, and they come from different corners of Las Vegas with different stories with a shared goal to show those who need the reminder they are not alone. First tonight, love yourself, love the world. Part of the mission of the Love Yourself Foundation, who's gathering like-minded people on a journey of healing. Their collaboration began before the pandemic, and it started with a phone call and a notebook. Here's our conversation on where we are when it comes to Las Vegas together. What does friendship look like and feel like?
A nice cup of coffee.
There you go. Conversation. Yeah.
Appreciating the best moments and the worst moments together. Doing that with a friend is it makes life a lot better and a lot easier too.
Yeah, acknowledging the challenges that are out there for sure. I love that. What a variety of different ways to show up in people's lives. You guys are with the Love Yourself Foundation. I love the title, Love Yourself, Love Each Other is the mission, right? Do you feel as if enough people know what that friendship looks like, feels like, and are they getting enough of it where we are today?
That's a good question. I think people do in some ways, maybe just by their coworkers, by their maybe immediate family, or just some friends that they've grown up with. But from my perspective, sometimes we can isolate ourselves.
What gets in the way of that true authenticity?
Fear, I think. A lot of times.
Fear of being accepted, whether or not someone else is going to understand. A lot of people are like, I don't think that anyone is going to understand what I'm going through. Yeah.
Shyness, timidness, maybe it's a little bit of that fear, right? Trying to get out there and try to either meet new people or be a part of a community, just like Phil was talking about. I think the sense of friendship is that sense of community, that if you've never been a part of something like that before, it's a little hard to get your feet wet or get introduced to that without knowing maybe a friend or a group of friends to show you,
I think that if Vegas can do it, any other place could do it. I think Vegas is such an interesting place. We have every type of inhibition if we want it. But there's also such another side of it where there's these people wanting real connection. So I think, again, if we can do it here, it's a blueprint, I think, for any other city and potentially in other parts of the world. So
By getting together in a shop and creating vision boards, things like that, what we're really doing is creating healthy habits, and that is sustainability, right? Like, we're creating this community where we're pushing forth happy habits, healthy habits for people, so that way it ripples out into community, which in essence is sustainability.
It's beautiful, right? Because again, it comes back to the centering thought of that Las Vegas is together. You just need to know where you find your fit. And I hear the faith, I hear the hope, the optimism.
The mission of LIF is based off of the butterfly effect. There's just a small thing and it just ripples into an entire hurricane, and that's what we want to do. LIF started with a phone call and a notebook piece of paper that was just blank, and we ripped it out, drew all the circles and everything. And no matter what step you are, you can get to wherever you want to be, just so long as you keep putting love and compassion and building that support system. And that's what LIF is about.
We want to show that if you love yourself, you can be able to love each other. And by loving each other, you can love this planet that we inhabit. And being able to do all those things really just makes this world a better place, but also makes us as a community even better.
The foundation is now raising money to create a telehealth program for people who may be vulnerable to mental health challenges and not even show it. Those especially who work in hospitality, an industry known for putting out that kind face, but possibly suffering in silence. To learn more about the foundation, find the story on news3lv.com. Now to a story of survival from a mother and son. The isolation of the pandemic led a promising Las Vegas teen to despair, but his mother's fight to save him led her to create a nonprofit dedicated to families searching for a path forward.
Am I playing football for me or is it for all of y'all?
A question Linda Ward-Smith says her son, Jordan, struggled with. A surprise, she says, as one of Las Vegas's top athletes was pursuing his collegiate football future out of state. But the pandemic was a painful pivot.
He came back to Vegas because he just couldn't deal with it. But at that time, I didn't realize how hard it was for him until he was here for a few months. And then I got a phone call that he tried to harm himself. The only thought he felt he should just do is he didn't want to be a trouble to us anymore. And just thought that would be the easiest thing for him to do.
You know, I was #1 for the Centennial Bulldogs for 2 years, and I was the guy, and now I was nobody.
Jordan, in his own words, describes his struggle and his comeback.
Still on the path to being the best version of myself, but I can definitely credit a lot of where I am now to the community that I've had and all those people that have helped me. So
that help coming through therapy and love.
I think him knowing that he has support. He had people in his corner who didn't think he was a failure, who didn't think that he was less than anything, who instilled in him, regardless of what, it's going to be okay.
And now, mother and son want to help other families find resilience of their own. A nonprofit called the Nevada Youth Advocacy Group. Linda, who is a nurse, turned to mentors and counselors. Her own passion is incredibly personal.
When I think about my growing up, my history, I've always wanted to help. And being a little girl from the south side of Chicago, we didn't always get things that we felt like we wanted, we needed.
Emotional and psychological needs being supported now from one family to the next.
You know, we want to build a community for those who don't have a community, who need support and guidance. And if there's anybody that wants to help, please reach out to me or my mom. So, thank you.
Can you imagine it? Because of the brain tumor, who helped me with my brain tumor? Was the burn survivors. So you have to have faith.
That's Lucy Hamilton, burn survivor, now healing from a brain tumor. A tough road, but she is not alone, thanks to other survivors who have banded together through their journeys of physical and emotional crisis. Now, before we show you this next story, the images you'll see show what's left of traumatic events and also a visual of where these survivors are going. For the founder of My Scars Are Beautiful, that is her focus. But first, her story, which starts with a terrible crash on a Las Vegas freeway.
I suffered 3rd and 4th degree burns to my upper extremities. So they were treated like fire burns.
Michelle Hardy Rodriguez recalling her crash and what happened after vividly.
I was in a compression jacket garment for the whole 2 years too. So if you could think of like a stray jacket, it was that tight.
The challenges of treating wounds, physical and emotional.
I didn't really have a support system, so I went through a lot of that recovery alone. And, you know, when I reached out to certain people, they really just couldn't understand or really have the compassion to know what it was like to experience that.
The former model turned to faith and found this thought.
It's not about what I look like on the outside, it's my inside that's renewing. And so with my prayer, with all the supplication that I was doing, I applied myself to start writing.
She started to write a new chapter. My Scars Are Beautiful.
I created a website, just like a blog where people could submit stories and photos. And I started just getting people's photos and stories, and I put it on the website, and I was like, this is amazing. There's other trauma survivors too that have been through car accidents or that have been shot, or women that have had mastectomies and all kind of things. And I was just like, you know, what can I do to, you know, extend what I'm doing to more people in the community?
Now it is a nonprofit. 10 years after the crash, the group offers support, workshops, a team of survivors helping countless others heal, and in turn creating a healing community.
Going into your next chapter of life, like, wow, I went through this and I went through that and I'm still here. You know, how could I use what I went through to help somebody else? You know, and I think using that is not letting your pain go in vain.
Now, togetherness found through isolation. Recovery survivors sharing how they found community through each other. Here's my conversation at the Desert Hope Treatment Center, the sponsor of this special.
For me, my life had spiraled out of control. And there was nothing I could do to get it back. And then I found that drugs and alcohol was just controlling my life.
Honestly, I had a lot of shame about my profession, needing to uphold this reputation, pretend like I got it together. I don't have problems, I'm a therapist, I'm supposed to help others, but I was like dying inside.
My dad was a heroin addict. Once he passed away, I was lost. I was a lost child. I just didn't know how to connect back with the world again.
The only refuge I knew, the only place I knew to go was to drugs and alcohol. But because I hadn't been introduced to anything else. And every time situations get rough, I take off and head to where I know I'm safe. At least to where I thought I was safe. That was with my drugs and my alcohol. It would comfort me.
I got introduced to some hard drugs and just started using them. And it was a nice release, right? It was a nice escape. So after about 1.5 years of that and some pretty tumultuous events and losing a lot that I once had, I surrendered and I asked for help. And I finally admitted that I needed help. I needed to get some help.
The Air Force basically saved my life. For at the moment, it was more like I took a break from the drugs because I still wasn't right up here.
I remember moments when I knew that something needed to change, but it was on August the 3rd of 2000 when I said, something's gonna change. I can't die out here like this. And that's when I started my recovery journey. I went into a detox facility and stayed for 3 days, and from that point on, I followed the instructions of the program.
I've gone from a person who did not want to wake up and wanted to die every night, hoping that I would, to a person now who's like reclaiming my life and thriving in recovery and practicing again. And like, you know, I've got my relationship with my kids again. And I just honestly, if I hadn't gone to Desert Hope, I really don't know where I'd be today.
Once I got arrested with the police, they found me in a porta potty. I cried to them and I was like, just take me. I can't do this no more. Please, I need help. And it's the first time that the police wasn't mean to me. It was like they were so compassionate. And the ride there, I didn't feel like a punishment. I felt like they were saving my life. Like, this is my opportunity. That was my surrender. That was my surrender.
When you think about who you were then and who you are now, what would you say to that Dargan? Almost 24 years.
I would have to still say I love you. I love you and thank you for what we went through. Because look at us now. Look at us now.
Coming up, are you okay? The question, the answer, and the beautiful solution, one wall at a time. And as we go to break, a reminder, Las Vegas is a hopeful city. It joined a Nevada-born Hopeful Cities movement to teach people how to hope again. Among the resources, My Hope Story. It's a chance for community leaders to share their own stories of hopelessness and how they managed to normalize those feelings and how they overcame them.
We have to teach children how to hope and maybe remind each other that it's okay to hope, that we have an obligation, a responsibility, and a privilege as adults to teach children how to hope and also hope for ourselves.
A school on the east side of the valley is getting a lot of attention for the good that's happening inside the classrooms and outside as well. Stanford Elementary School recently got a makeover, and there was no way you can miss the visual lessons of friendship and community. What was once a blank slate is now a massive mural. The Las Vegas skyline part of the artwork. The mascot of Stanford Elementary overlooks the playground.
When I see this mural, I feel incredible joy. I feel incredible pride for the school first that the mural is on, that they invite this type of activity within their school, and that they care about the wellness and mind, body, all of the things for their students.
Corey Fagan with Aren't You OK, a fixture at First Friday on the recent collaboration with the school, artist Black 57, and the program that heals through art.
I think through creative outlets, you're able to express yourself if you're doing dance, or if you're singing, or if you're painting through expression, if you're suffering loss in your life and you can paint through it with colors, even if it's angry, it's going out onto the canvas, through poetry, through writing, through journaling, all of these forms of creative expression that help us to find out where we're at and kind of check in with ourselves.
Assistant Principal Sarah Udy getting in on the fun as well.
Do you know where your handprint is? Can you still point it out?
I do. I actually did it on purpose over here.
Why? Why there?
Because I knew I'd forget.
Aw, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing here.
Yeah.
We love it. And I honestly love this because our students engage with it and talk about it. They feel connected to the message. So it's a message here that we communicate and the kids are aware of. We look out for each other.
Young visitors who came with Fagan naturally drawn to the mural, reminders to all they are not alone.
We love it here. We find that our students, they'll come out during recess and they'll find their hand, they'll talk to their friend. They notice the Aren't You OK and they remember the message about it.
Could healing look like acting, play, and laughter? And could you find friendship at the same time? For fans of improv comedy and mental well-being, that answer is yes. It's a Wednesday night at Mom's Basement, a theater off Sahara. A game that starts with names, then ends with
Hey Macarena, all the small things.
a favorite lyric from a song. This ensemble, improv students, are here to practice being human, say the founders of Vegas Improv Power. At times, that can reflect the challenging parts of the human experience. Students Spencer Brown, Tyler Lemke, and Grayson Bell.
I suffer with a lot of anxiety that I've kind of realized, and I feel like your mental health can go down from day to day, and through the pandemic, it's just like deteriorated over time. And then I realized man, I'm in a bad spot. And how do I change this?
It's easy to lose track how far you get into yourself and how deep your anxiety gets until it's like it shows itself, especially like first time interactions with people, you know.
I was actually officially diagnosed with PTSD in 2020, the end of 2020 actually, where everything kind of came crashing down. And so I was like, okay, well now I have a name for what I've been going through. Now I can get over that or learn to kind of cope with it.
So they turned here, where cheers are frequent.
I'm constantly like, no, because the way I think. And so it's been cool to shift that mindset into hey, everyone's contributing, everyone's trying their best.
Collaboration, a constant.
I don't think you're ready for this challenge.
It was fun, and when you have fun, you don't forget about your mental health challenges, but you learn to kind of release them a little bit and not be so guarded.
Recent studies support how improv can reduce anxiety and depression, being able to handle spontaneity, whatever life throws your way, a skill in a theater and in real life.
We are going to make all the letters of the alphabet with our partner.
Instructors Natalie Sullivan and Ryan Neufeld don't call this therapy, but
I make jokes that it feels that way. I have a psychology degree. I'm not a therapist, but that was an intention of mine actually going through college. My initial intention was to be a therapist. So I think there's probably a little part of me that is pleased to see people come out of shells and share things.
Whatever is going on for their life or in their life. And I'm sure some of that is very serious, and whether we know about it or not, we're there to hopefully help facilitate whatever they're going through, and people get out of it as much as they put into it. So that's, a fun part.
Another nonprofit, the Avery Burton Foundation, using conversations like this one and then turning them into a call for action. Be prepared with mental health first aid. That's the ability to spot signs of distress and seek help. So what does that look like and feel like?
I know things are hard. Maybe I'm not the person to talk to, but I just want to let you know, if ever you want to talk, I'm here. You do have to do your own work, but you don't have to do it alone.
So instead of asking, how you doing?
At UNLV, life swings may not be so threatening when you have someone in your corner. Life lessons with Project Wellness.
Bam, 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 boom.
A bunch of things actually brought us to this moment. One is the pandemic. After the pandemic, there's a lot of students on campus here in UNLV and across the entire country that were feeling stressed, that were feeling lonely, that were feeling depressed, and that connection wasn't there.
Every punch has a significant step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Why not form a student-led organization that focuses on mental health? And that's when Project Wellness started.
Shadowboxing is putting all those punches that you just went over together.
Our fitness committee, we're doing that right now, right, with boxing. There's a lot of studies shown that physical health and mental health are intertwined. And the more you work out, the more endorphins you release, the more dopamine you release, and you just feel good. Yeah. You feel good. You feel good getting out, you feel good being with your friends, and that connection is another thing that brings us here.
You feel the connection from your foot to the ground. Bop, bop. Do you feel it though?
Fighting mental health.
Yeah.
Boxing mental health.
Yeah.
The more you fight, the more you put yourself out there, the better it's going to be.
Work it out.
You can't give up.
You see?
You have to keep on fighting.
Thank you.
Before we leave you here at 7, a reminder you are not alone. Resources to find connections, which you've seen over the last half hour, are out there. Visit news3lv.com to learn more about the groups and people we collaborated with tonight. And to punctuate this special Las Vegas Together, words from our community. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night.
Like, starting this whole adventure with Monica, like, really flipped my whole perception on how I can be a part of this world too.
Life is not what happened to you, it's how you react.
Las Vegas is a very special place. There's so many people that need help, and they're looking for ways to be able to find that hope.